What is up, everybody? Welcome back to racingdudes.com. Welcome back to another one of our Kentucky Derby horse profiles. We are going to Arkansas for this one. We're going to go to Silent Tactic, who's been wintering down at Hot Springs in Oaklawn Park. And let's take a look at him, as he's kind of had a kind of a cool resume, in my opinion, leading up to the Kentucky Derby. 6 starts overall, 2 wins and 4 seconds. 4 starts this year, 1 first and 3 seconds for him. Let's go down to the results now. And like I said, he's been a fun one. Debuted at Woodbine, got the job done in a maiden special weight before finishing second in the Gray Stakes down there, or up there, I should say, at Woodbine on the synthetic surface. And then came to Oaklawn Park, and the old school of old school, right? He ran in all 4 Kentucky Derby prep races. I love that about him there at Oaklawn Park. You know, we live in an era now where you run in January and then we don't see you again until April, and it's like, what are you doing? But here, 4 races all there at Oaklawn. He ran in the entire series. Second in the Smarty Jones on a paceless race where really he kind of showed himself that day. He was the only horse to close. And like I said, he closed up to second, but it's like, you can kind of see he's pretty good. Southwest Stakes, he's able to get the job done and win. The Rebel Stakes, a very narrow loss. He almost got the job done. Class President edged him late there in that one. And then in the Arkansas Derby, second again, but he was well beaten that time by a Renegade. Very interesting horse. So the last 2 races, well, you know what? We'll talk about his pedigree first, and then we'll talk about his running style. I'm getting ahead of myself. Let's talk about the pedigree. Like I said, he's by Tacitus. Yes, our old buddy Tacitus, who blew a lot of races, but still a horse that could run all day long, seemingly. So by Tacitus, out of a gun runner mare. So, I mean, 1.25 miles, yes, please. This horse probably wishes the Belmont was still at 1.5 miles this year. He would like that as well. But yeah, pedigree-wise, he should be absolutely fine going longer. Now, I was getting ahead of myself, but running style is where I think his most interesting discussion is, and we'll discuss that now. His first 2 starts, I'll go back down to his results here. His first 2 starts of the season, he really just dropped well out of it, made 1 run and passed everybody down the stretch, and well, everybody in the Southwest, everybody but one in the Smarty Jones. The Rebel in the Arkansas Derby, he actually was a little bit more tactical. He set about mid-pack, and he kind of, eased his way up into the race, and then he would make a move, and it looked like he's really going to be the winner turning for home. And, like I said, he couldn't quite get by Class President, and then he got caught easily by Renegade. But I think there's some skepticism that, hey, maybe for the Derby, just sitting towards the back, he doesn't really need to be tactical. Maybe that's taken a little bit out of his kind of his stretch run, that he's sitting a little closer and he doesn't have as much energy as if he was sitting towards the back. It's an interesting theory. I would kind of just in general, I would rather kind of be sitting where he sat in the Arkansas Derby and the Rebel, where you're a little bit more into the race. You're not having to weave through traffic, things like that. But I do wonder in this case if they don't just kind of drop him back towards the back and make 1 run in the Derby. And maybe he's going to finish a little bit stronger if he's a little bit further off the pace. So that's kind of the debate of what are they actually going to do with him? What are we going to look for this horse to do? I think that's the big thing. So when you kind of go, okay, what are the negatives on this horse? Well, he really, I mean, as much as I really like Class President, and who's injured now, not going to run the race, and I was excited that Class President won the Rebel, it kind of felt like Silent Tactic lost it a little bit more than Class President won it. And then you watch him in the Arkansas Derby talking about Silent Tactic, and he was really no kind of competition for Renegade. So he might just be a cut below. And I think that's the big question mark. He might just be a very consistent runner, a horse you can kind of rely on. He's kind of built up a resume where he runs kind of the same, 6 races and has finished first or second in all 6. That's really impressive. But is he good enough to actually win? And I think that's where it comes into play, and that's where the big question mark is. And so final verdict on Silent Tactic. Honestly, if you said, hey, who's your favorite horse in this race, I'd probably pick Silent Tactic, because I just like the old schoolness of this horse. I ran in all 4 of the preps. I don't think he's a serious win contender. If the pace ends up materializing and getting really hot, and he kind of drops back and makes one run. Can he win? Yeah, I think he can, but I think there's other closers you're kind of going to want to prefer a little bit more other than him. I do think he is a horse you got to use underneath in the exotics. I think, finishing second, third, fourth in exactas, tries, and supers, I think that makes a lot of sense. I think we kind of know what he's going to do. He's a really good measuring stick for horses as well, I think, but at the end of the day, I'm not sure that he's quite good enough to win. I definitely think he's going to show up, run well, give it his best. And that could be enough to hit the board. All right, guys. Thanks everybody for watching this video. Hit that like button if you like it. Subscribe. You really want to get alerted anytime we do videos like this. And most importantly, stay tuned to the channel for more Kentucky Derby news.